We were watching TV and saw your warnings.
It's our responsibility to be on the air and inform people when there's life-threatening weather.
This cell is bearing down on Wilson. These storms have been moving so fast.
There were a lot of trees down right around that area.
The National Weather Service radar was offline for maintenance. That's the reason why we have the live dual Doppler 5000. We've got you covered because we have a live radar to show you what's happening.
WRAL breaking news tracker first on the scene. I can tell you there's a school to my right.
We are following breaking news in the WRAL News Live Center. It is still a very active scene, and we're getting these live pictures into our...
WRAL is monitoring more than 200 traffic cameras. You can avoid this part of I-40 this morning.
It's what you can expect every morning.
You wake up with the Triangle's largest news team.
You can check the weather on your phone, but I'll show you what's behind this number that will really impact your day.
Tomorrow morning, every morning, watch WRAL Mornings.
We are following some breaking news right now. We've just confirmed an officer has been shot.
Multiple roads in West Raleigh are shut down, including I-440 and Western Boulevard, as authorities investigate.
We are getting information from inside of this neighborhood near the Teakwood area. I'm actually receiving text messages as we speak from one of our viewers who reached out to me. They say it looks like it is really an intense search for whoever is responsible for this shooting.
Right after that shooting, Catherine and Gerald, they say he ran about a half a mile and ended up in this storage closet. What he didn't know was that it locked from the outside, and he got locked in.
An explosion being reported in Durham.
A deadly gas explosion in downtown Durham, injuring more than a dozen people.
One person is dead out of this. 15 people have been taken to the hospital.
A building destroyed. A school evacuated.
Because you could just tell, you could smell the smoke wafting in the air, that this was a pretty bad situation.
And a community shaken.
I just saw a whole lot of smoke, a lot of flames, people crying, talking about people had died. It was very sad. It's a sad day in Durham.
Breaking news right here on WRAL at noon. At least one person is dead, 15 others transported to local hospitals after explosion and fire at a building in downtown Durham.
Right now, first responders are frantically searching for any additional victims, and we've been showing you live pictures now for about 90 minutes or so here from Sky 5 of downtown Durham. We thank you for joining us. Emergency crews have been working for nearly 2 hours.
Everything was going pretty normally until just a giant concussive sort of blast hit the building and the windows rattled. The power went out immediately. And then for a little while, it was just kind of panic as people tried to figure out what was going on.
What do you think when you look down there? I mean, we understand 15 in the hospital, one casualty, one very serious injury.
That's crazy. That's so sad. You know, to think that people are dying from this.
We just felt like our whole office shook all of a sudden, and the lights were flickering, and everyone just shot up because clearly something bad had happened.
Incredible, just incredible. And again, we're several blocks away from the scene of the blast with that video.
Contractors were using a boring machine or a drilling machine when they struck a 2-inch gas line.
You can see now that the fire has been contained, the smoke has stopped billowing there. You can really get a look at the damage from the explosion itself. And also look at that car there on Duke Street, right there at Main Street. The airbags are deployed, the windshield is damaged. There's another bus. We've been showing that bus earlier out on Duke Street in front of that collapsed building where the windows are blown out, the top is blown off, the hatch there, that escape hatch is blown off the roof of that big van.
I want you to take a look at what's left of this bus. You can see doors are gone, windows shattered. The driver, he says he was sitting right here in the front row. 2 rows back was a passenger when all of a sudden he says he felt that explosion.
Right after the explosion, I said 2 things. I said, I love you, Jesus, and I love you, Gina. And I actually felt at that time that I wasn't going to see her again.
It's pretty devastating when I see you on TV.
It's a sad day in Durham.
We will be right here with you to get through this together.
It can happen quickly. Flames and smoke spreading through the house, leaving little time to escape. Would your family be able to get out if your home caught fire like that? I'm 5 on your side's Monica Liberty. Check it out. We're here with firefighters to show you along with smoke detectors, the one thing your family can do to be able to survive a house fire. Firefighters going into battle. This raging fire, though, intentionally set to teach all of us a life-saving lesson. I was in that home before the fire started and right after to help share an important message about surviving a fire. Smoke and gases fill the living room and start moving into the bedroom with the open door. The room with the door closed, no problem. 4, 5, 6 minutes in, you see the difference. Anyone in the room with the open door would be in serious trouble. Hubbard says it comes down to one critical question.
Do you want to hear him one time that night and never hear him again?
The surveillance video is simply hard to watch. A school resource officer walking a middle school student under the age of 12 to the office, when suddenly the deputy grabs the child like a rag doll and slams him down. The SRO then does it again before yanking the student up and dragging him down the hall.
When you saw that video, what was your reaction?
I was stunned. I was shocked.
That's Vance Sheriff Curtis Brame, a grandfather who suspended the officer and called in the SBI to investigate.
And seeing a child that small reminded me of one of my grandchildren.
A white patron at a local restaurant calls a black patron the N-word.
You're too loud.
We're too loud. In your opinion. Let me show you my money. It's just as green as yours.
Right. Oh, you're so stupid.
We found Goodman at her home.
I'm not going to say I'm sorry to them because they kept pushing at it. So, and that's all I'd really like to say.
What about your use of the N-word?
I used that word because they forced me into it.
Do you see how that's incredibly offensive?
Yes, I do. That's why I said it. I would say it again to them.
She says she would use that word again to you all.
Wow.
Wow. That's sad.
Watch WRAL News.
Not finished with the rain yet, right, Mike?
It's rain, clouds, fog, drizzle. It's just that nasty mess.
But it's not all bad news. We have a big pattern change for next week.
For breaking news and weather, coverage you can count on.
It is busy. We do have new tornado warnings to share with you impacting Orange County and northwestern Durham County until 4:30. And you can see on the radar view, if we take this full screen so everybody at home can see the wide view and see all the detail on what's going on, what we're looking at, the red outlined areas, those are tornado warnings. The yellow outlined areas are severe thunderstorm warnings. We refer to these as polygons. So if you hear me say the word polygon, that's what I'm referring to. The red polygons are tornado warnings. The yellows are severe thunderstorm warnings. And so the new tornado warning that has just come in is out of that warrant cell that we were following in Chatham in southwestern Orange County. That is my first stop. And we've got many. We've got Caswell County, we've got Orange County, we've got Durham County, Chatham County, Harnett County, Cumberland County, Hope County, Wilson.
WRAL's Catherine Brown is leading our coverage from Savannah, where she and photojournalist Chad Flowers are already experiencing the rain and the wind. And right now the storm is about 90 miles southeast of where they are. Catherine?
Well, Deborah, we have been out driving around much of the night in this storm tracker. We actually just pulled under a bridge so I could show you something. Pop out this monitor and give you a look at the HD Doppler network live. You can see where we are, Savannah, in relation to where Dorian is. And we're switching to our 360-degree camera that's mounted on the roof here of the storm tracker to give you a better sense of exactly what we are seeing and experiencing as we drive by. You can see the rain pelting. It's coming down, has been coming down increasingly harder over the last half hour, 40 minutes or so.
Adam Owens begins our live team coverage.
Our cameras were there as Jacob Thrasher returned home tonight.
Breaking news now out of Durham.
That statement that you mentioned.
Right here, you can see all the damage that was caused.
Let's check it out on Futurecast.
Coverage you can count on. WRAL News.
In the safety of the Wake County suburb stands a tree with a dark secret about an accusation, law enforcement, torture, and a man left with the scars of injustice. Watch the full story Thursday at 6 on WRAL News.
Employees who quietly make sure schools operate smoothly marched alongside teachers like bus drivers and custodians.
Bus drivers don't get the kids to school. There's no one to teach.
Even librarians are being eliminated in some school districts.
Librarians, I like to think, are like the heart of the school. We work with every student. I know every student at my school by name.
My first teacher of color was in public school.
You remember your first?
I do.
Why?
Probably because I've never had one before.
North Carolina schools are lacking in teacher diversity.
Our communities are changing. Our recruitment strategies are going to have to change.
What's behind the numbers and why students could benefit from closing the teacher diversity gap.
If you are a teacher of color out there and you want to work for us, we have a job for you.
WRAL investigates.
Bad smelling, bad tasting, in some cases dangerous water. WRAL investigates decades of records that list hundreds of EPA violations all over North Carolina. Is your community on the list? Tonight at 6.
The Neuse River flows from the Triangle down to the coast of North Carolina. WRAL takes a close look at the health of the Neuse River and its impact on you.
The river is in very poor health.
This is unacceptable. This is my river, and there's a bunch of dead fish floating in here.
Don't run and jump in. I don't know if the water's clean.
Whole ecosystems, they're going to start collapsing.
To lose it, I think, would be devastating.
Without clean water, we lose everything. Everything.
Wake up.
It's unacceptable. I want things changed.
Right now, the most serious threat to the Neuse River are the people in our state house.
We need to get people in government to start doing their job.
In 1990, this remarkable river was on the brink of catastrophe. Nutrient pollution was robbing these waters of so much oxygen. Millions of fish were dying every day. Toxic algal blooms threatened this river as a source of drinking water. And people complained of strange burning sensations after swimming in these waters.
I want to be able to bring my kids. I came and played in this river as a child. I want to bring my kids. I want to keep bringing them out here to be able to play and not have to worry about, well, don't run and jump in. I don't know if the water's clean.
What does this picture look like to you? Dessert? The beach? Well, it's actually all of the old layers of paint. But if you look very closely at the bottom there, right at that V, there's a little red. Brian Mims explains how that comes into play.
This is the Joel Lane home. Joel Lane was the man who founded Wake County.
This is the oldest house in Wake County, 1769, so 250 years this year.
Built before the American Revolution, it's time for a facelift.
This is an emergency. Our paint has failed catastrophically in such a way that it's actually trapping moisture beneath the paint, causing rot.
And because of that, no ordinary cosmetic paint job will do.
Stripping down the old paint and stripping it down with heat guns.
It felt somewhere between an archaeological dig and CSI.
The paint samples were encased in acrylic and cut into cross sections. Some of the samples showed as much as 26 layers of paint.
And she found that the original color was this really charming. I think it's going to be dramatic. Red.
Soon this mustard yellow house will be sporting a new, old, rusty red coat.
I just have a love. Once when you start one of these, you'll fall in love with the way it looks at the end.
It's a love of history and color from modern times. Brian Mims, WRAL News, Raleigh.
Brian Mims has this week's edition of North Carolina Nooks and Crannies.
The Blind Spot Animal Sanctuary sits just off Highway 501 in Rougemont.
This is a very hard job.
A hard job that is an easy calling.
The need is really great.
Here they take in the misfits, the mistreated, the animals with no place else to go.
Because they need us.
The call to fill a need is strong with Alicia Danrich.
This is Noah.
She and her husband own the sanctuary.
Not only should we rescue animals, but we also should be involved in the community and help those that need it the most. And it's really special needs kids.
That's how the Hayes family ended up at the Blind Spot.
Where there's no judgment, there's no pressure. She can just be her and smile and just be herself.
Once every summer, the sanctuary opens the gate to allow special needs children special access to the animals.
They are so sweet.
Do they make you feel good?
Celeste Hayes is 8 years old. She visited the Blind Spot Animal Sanctuary last fall and plans to return this year as well.
Emma!
There you go. Yay!
Everyday life isn't always fun, and she can't always do everything that the rest of her siblings can do.
That's a big peacock.
The animals seem to get a lot out of this too.
And we have some animals that have a disability as well.
Oh, why is she good?
And it's just incredibly heartwarming to see the connection and how they help each other.
There you go.
Blurring the lines of just who is helping who.
Good job.
They kind of understand each other.
It's a fun day. It's a fun day to have.
A fun day, a hard job to fulfill a great need.
These goats are silly.
Brian Mims, WRAL News, Rougemont.
Wow, that'll make you smile.
Fort Fisher, the Civil War, the 1860s. That's been centuries ago now, and yet it is not all that far away.
This was a day that we had great visibility.
The wreck of the Condor.
You come in and all of a sudden the engine's here.
The wreck is 800 yards off the beach.
Another piece of the shaft walk.
In less than 25 feet of water.
Maiden voyage.
The Condor ran aground on her maiden voyage.
October 7th, 1864.
A Confederate blockade runner, more than 200 feet long.
The latest and greatest and newest and best blockade runner around.
Rose O'Neill Greenhow was aboard the Condor. She was a Confederate spy, the wild rose of the Confederacy.
She despised the Yankees.
The Yankees were closing in on the Condor, stuck on the sandbar.
And Rose goes to the captain and said, I can't be captured by the Union. You need to put me ashore.
But the seas were rough, the lifeboat small.
Almost immediately, the boat foundered and went upside down. Rose, because of her voluminous petticoats and the fact that she had some gold sovereigns stitched into the lining, she drowns.
The Condor, meanwhile, is sunk.
So both the Union and the Confederates go out and shell the Condor?
Yes, they shelled it to keep it out of each other's hands.
And today it lies just off the coast of Fort Fisher. And today, Rose Greenhow lies at Oakdale Cemetery in Wilmington.
The wild rose of the Confederacy.
And a tangible link to the Civil War.
And because the wreck of the Condor is in such good shape and is so well preserved, I was like, this would be an ideal dive park.
A public dive park.
And off the buoy, we hang mooring line. And then you go get to put your hands on this wreck that happened 150 years ago. I mean, how many people get to do that? Not many, but that's what we're trying to change. I want people to dive these wrecks and look at them because they really are like time capsules.